to your daily Gameface. I am Dr. Kim Lannon here on a very sunny, cold, and prepared for new snowstorm coming this week.
Oh boy.
You knew that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Exactly.
The one that we had over the weekend started out as being like a couple fluffy inches. It turned into like a foot.
Yep.
And now supposedly I'm hearing we're getting like 2 feet.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Well,
this is what I
know
keep
how
hearing.
it is. It's
I know.
3 or 4 days before the actual event, and weather people don't know what they're talking about.
So. I know, but see, it's always the opposite of what they say. And now I'm like, really? We're getting 2 or 3 feet? I'm like, are you sure? Because, that's, whatever.
It'll go south. We'll get about 2 inches, and
it'll blow over. We hope, right? Watch us next week. We'll be being like, can you believe how much snow we got?
If it happens, it happens.
Oh, it's crazy. Anyway,
do you remember the Snowmageddon that year?
The one in 1997.
110 inches.
That was 2015.
215,
yeah. Oh, I do remember that because that's the year I was running every single weekend starting on my birthday, which is January 27th. Just as a reminder to all my listeners that my birthday's coming. But January 27th was a Saturday, and every single Saturday for 8 weeks in a row, we would get hit with like another foot of snow.
There was almost no snow until January 27th.
Yep. And then all of a sudden, I will never forget that because I was running on the Boston Marathon route to train, and every Saturday there'd be 8-foot stacks of snow along the carriage road up Heartbreak Hill, that whole section of like that 4 miles.
Yep.
And you couldn't see anything other than snow piles. I will never forget that. That's how I remember that whole year. Is it started on my birthday, and then every Saturday morning run, we'd all be in the snow piles.
But would you take first a foot of snow or sub 10 degrees?
I
know.
Well, I could take sub 10 degrees because I could stay inside.
Yeah, I guess. But I'd take the snow. I hate the cold.
Well, I hate both. How about that?
Yeah, true.
This is good. If you put them both together, which we're about to have, because it's going to be -4.
Wow.
But this is why we pivot and we take adversity, and we know that spring is coming, and it's only January 21st.
Yes, spring is coming.
People keep saying, but spring is coming. I'm like,
in July.
Yeah. Exactly. Remember, positive attitude. So
usually I feel this way in February. I don't feel this way in January.
Well, we're getting it early this year.
Yeah.
So it's
because November was awful.
Yes, we're getting it. We're getting a little early, and we did get snow early this year. So
Cold early.
Everybody's loving it up at the ski areas, from what I hear.
I imagine.
And I know that because I go up to the ski areas, and it's been a zoo. And I've had more clients who've gone skiing and either have broken something, fallen, hit their head. I've had 2 concussions.
What happens when you ski drunk?
They weren't. Well, the kids weren't drunk. Maybe the adults were. I might think that at least one of them was a little drunky, but I don't know that for sure. But my guess is probably
it's supposed to be like a car crash. It's supposed to make you more flexible. And the drunk driver never gets hurt. Remember?
I know. Well, I know.
It doesn't work that way.
I know, but yes, in theory, Okay, so moving along. Yep. So really good things, because we're in the month of Rise, which is the year of Rise of you, right? We're resetting our mindset. We're integrating. We're standing up, standing out, and we're elevating and evolving, right? Rise. We're rising, making ourselves rise, because the year of you is transforming us into the next section. Hey, everybody's been helping me out. I'm January 21st, and I have 13 squares left. Ooh. I only have $1,300 to reach 10,000. I still have to raise 2,500 after that, but nonetheless. But just for the squares alone, I only have 13 left. So that's 13 of my friends, 13 times for $100 donation for a square, or someone that just wants to just finish me out today and give it all.
Nice.
That'd be great. But yeah, so I have 1,300 for squares, and then another 2,500 to get to my minimum for the team for the New England Patriots Foundation. So I just want to start out the show by saying thank you to everyone who's been giving. The game last weekend was fantastic, exciting. What a turnaround, what we've had for the New England Patriots with Mike Rabel and Drake May and the whole team as a team. We're back to the team thing. So I'm very excited for this weekend. I do have one concern as a sports psychologist and knowing this team and several other teams like them is we always are not the best in elevation.
Yeah.
So Denver is a challenge, not because of us as a team and them, it's because of the elevation.
So what I've been debating all week is that a team thing? Is that a them thing or is it an us thing? Because we're scarred by Denver. We've watched a lot of teams go in there and lose.
I think my theory coming from the psychology background, because people have been asking me about it, right, all week about what do I think, and I'm just going from the psychology of it and also knowing the teams that struggle there. I think it's an elevation issue, and I think then it becomes a psychology issue because they get in their heads about the elevation. So I'm hoping that Mike Vrabel and the coaching staff, which I'm hoping, are doing all the right things in terms of getting everyone's mindset and headset in the right space. There's a reset, just like what we're doing here on the show. Reset, get your mindset right going into this, that we're not thinking about that overarching thing that sits on lots of teams' heads when they go into Denver. Denver's a hard place to play.
Yeah.
It's a hard place to run. It's a hard place to be. Beautiful.
I have faith in their mindset, though.
I think
Vrabel's got them in a good space, I think.
Yes, I do too. I just think that they also have their own. So they're all individuals.
Yep.
Although the team mindset is there in the play, and they're definitely tactically and strategically and trained well. It's sports are in between the space between your ears.
Yep.
That's where they are. Not you can go into body motion and have that all memory and everything, but it's the other pieces.
Yep.
So, but I'm excited. So this weekend is going to be good. It's a funny thing. I did a giveaway for tickets last week, which sparked a lot of people giving. So I gave away playoff tickets last week. And so funny story about it, because everyone was like, oh, I want the playoff tickets. So people were giving. So I picked the first person. They were like, oh, I can't go.
Okay.
So I picked the next person live. So I'm doing this live, right? So then that was like a couple hours later, I put up back, the person gets it, they take it. Then the next morning I get a call at like 9, or it started like 8:00. Oh my God, I forgot. I have this other thing. I can't go. It took me, so the game was at 3. You have to get there early, obviously, for parking. It took me, I had to go 5 more people deep to get people to go. Yeah. But they all wanted them.
Sure.
But then when it came down to it, it was like, oh, if I had known, I would have made plans. So then people were complaining that it was so late. I'm like, I literally did this the day before so that we wouldn't run into this problem.
Well, as you know, Foxborough's a full day.
So I know, but I mean, you know. Yeah. So, but it was very exciting because the people that ended up winning them and going had a great time. And they had beautiful pictures they sent me from the game. As you know, if you watch my social media, I was like, it's 11 degrees out. I'm not going.
I know.
It was cold and windy. So I watched from the warmth of my couch and stayed on the phone with the backside of everything. So
because it was dark, Gillette was.
It was very dark.
Well done. The game presentation was super well done.
Yes.
It was hopping.
Yes, it was like, it was very good. So I'm excited. So I'm excited for them, but I'm excited because of course it gives lots of inspiration around like doing my charity work and doing my philanthropy. And it makes it a heck of a lot easier than the past couple of years when we weren't doing so well. You know, I'm one of, I think 50 different charities that run for the Boston Marathon. So I have sort of a blessing in the fact that it often gets just spurred on by the fact that I work and run for the New England Patriots Foundation. So it helps when we're doing well.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're going to the Super Bowl. I don't want to jinx it, but hopefully we're going to the Super Bowl.
It's funny how it's such a community. You see the community mindset now because everybody's involved in this now.
Well,
and everyone's happy and everyone's upbeat.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's helping me. I mean, in years gone by, I still get to my goal, but this is an easier year for a lot of people. But I'm still $1,300 short of the goal for just the 10,000 for the squares, and then I have to still raise money on top of that. So, because I'm not at the minimum yet, and we know why the minimum is there, right? You know the story of why the minimum is 12.5, right?
No,
because of how much money I've raised every year that they set the minimum to my minimum from what I've been raising as an average on a
for everybody?
Yes.
Oh, God.
So, I'm the one to blame.
Yeah,
So,
that
but it's
person.
actually because everyone's so awesome at helping me out. But you know how stressful it is.
Yep.
Like it's January 21st, and I just need to get it done because then I can train. When you have to run, if you're new to listener and you've never run a marathon and or you've never run at all, and you also have to work a full-time job, or like I do, like 3 full-time jobs, and you teach and you do all the things, right? And then you also have to raise like essentially $15,000 essentially, right?
Yep.
I have to always think ahead of like how much I actually have to raise. It's a lot, and you have to do it in basically a 4-month window.
And your operation is pretty sophisticated. I'm sure other people running for the foundation aren't as organized at getting their
Well,
fundraising done.
I'm a senior member of the team. I think that there's one other person who I said at the beginning of this whole run of this year. There's one other person that's in the team that's been before. I'm still, I think, the senior member of the team currently, and she was actually given a $25,000 donation straight up.
Wow!
And I have not, in all my years of running of the Boston Marathon for fundraising for all the things, and I've raised over $100,000+. I've never been given $25,000, and I've never seen anyone be given.
Thank God the minimum isn't $25,000.
I know, but I'm concerned that
Do you run raffles and giveaways and do comedy shows?
I do.
You get a pretty organized effort.
Yes, I do raffles. I do giveaways, the Super Bowl squares. I do a gala party. I do comedy show. I do singing, like have singers come in and do a whole event. I do dinners, like I do. I even stand on the side of a hardware store in the middle of the spring right before the marathon and do like a bake sale. Like I'm old school, and then somebody just gets $25,000 handed over to them. But you know what? That's okay. There's a process in
God
this.
bless them, right?
God bless them, right? So, it's wonderful, and she's very fortunate, and she's lovely, and she's a great runner, and she's a great teammate. And I'm going to see her tomorrow, and I'm going to say, what?
Is that annual, or does that happen every year?
I've never seen her do that before. I won't say what I am, but that's unusual.
Yeah.
Because they based the goal off of my typical average. So that's gonna skew the goal. So if they come back next year and say the minimum's like 15, I'm gonna just cry. So
the link is in comments. So if anyone wants to donate, the link is in the comments.
The link is in the comments, yes. So, but here we are pivoting in adversity. And there's no adversity right now. We're just, I gotta get my squares gone. Got to get my squares gone and then raise more money on top of it.
You're going to get a week off from training after the storm on the week.
I train inside. I don't run in the cold and the snow.
No,
not like that. Not when it's like it was yesterday and the day before. No.
Yeah,
I don't want to slip, fall.
The woman running this morning when I left home, and I said, "God bless you, you're a warrior."
I do not. I do not want to break anything.
Yep.
So anyway, so here we are, and we're on to our next. I put together this whole thing in my head this week about how I wanted to impart people with like sort of like a 30-day plan. I'm not going to give you the whole plan because then that's giving you everything.
You're going to teach how to design a 30-day plan.
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought that I would give everyone this week sort of a way of elevating your mental health and cultivating your growth mindset to the rise thought, and how it requires really a deliberate, systematic approach rather than kind of isolating out habits. And so I made like a templated framework to talk about so that then people could make it their own, that integrates your emotional regulation. So your emotional wellness, right? Your cognitive discipline, and that leads to kind of your behavioral habit discipline, and a purposeful growth-based mindset. So that it's like all designed to be practical, sustainable, and measurable. And that's how you're going to gain those stackable little wins, right? So, Wow. See that? I put that effort into making January amazing for people. Right? So, okay. So the first thing I put into motion is treating your mental health as a foundational system, like at the base of like who you are, that your mental health is your foundation. And you have to maintain that proactively. So that means it has to be a constant in the front of your mind, which doesn't happen for a lot of people. They kind of put it behind them, and not something that you only address during crisis. So your mental health is your foundation. So establishing that as your sort of infrastructure, if you see it as like, okay, here's where I'm standing in the ground and it's my mental health, and that I'm not reacting to things, I'm in a daily responsive mode.
Yep.
Right. So that's your first thing. So now, what does that look like in terms of actions? Okay. So first thing, schedule what I'm calling non-negotiable mental health practices daily.
Okay.
Non-negotiables. So that means, are you doing intentional work in the morning? Are you doing recovery time from something that's stressful during the day? Are you doing journaling? Are you doing reading on something? Are you doing therapy? Are you doing a life coaching thing? Are you doing something mentally? Now, not including like exercise, that's separate,
Yep.
right? But this is about the mental health infrastructure that is like scheduling your training for work or training for a marathon, but it's for your mental health. So being really deliberate about taking the action of scheduling a non-negotiable in your mental health every day. How do you wake up every day and save your mental health and preserve it so that you have goodness, right? So the second part of that is I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Here it comes. Look at the light. No. Okay. Conduct yourself in a daily and a monthly mental health audit. That's what I'm calling it.
Interesting.
A mental health audit. I can copyright that for myself because that's mine, right? So daily mental health audit, I like a monthly because then you're not like stressed about your daily, but you can do it daily. And so that's like looking at your stressors, looking at your energy drains, right? Your emotional patterns and your boundaries that need reinforcement. I just got stuck because I was watching my screen get stuck over here.
Oh,
did you notice that?
No, I can't see a screen.
Oh, you can't see my screen?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's for you.
Okay. Well, I just thought we were sharing the screen all these years, and I didn't know that you couldn't see my screen. Okay.
Well, kind of, but
okay.
Okay.
So you're good. So again, conducting the mental audit.
Yep.
So that means that you're looking at your stressors, your energy drains, your emotional patterns, and boundaries that need reinforcement. Right. So, because those are the things that really have to be audited to make sure.
So start a checklist.
Right. You can make that as a little list, and then be like, okay, what are my stressors? How am I working on them? Right. What is energy draining me? Right. And am I checking that off? What are my emotional patterns? Are they regulated? Are they not regulated? Are they happy, sad, in between? And then am I keeping my good internal boundaries for myself, and are they working, and are they not working, and why? Yep. So you're doing an audit.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's important. Okay. And then this is a big one, and I was working on trying to figure out where was I going to put this in my whole foundation, and I'm like, I'm going to put it right at the beginning, but because I have struggled with this, and I think this is a common thing because I hear it from clients. Normalize that rest is part of your performance optimization in your mental health.
Oh, I know.
And not a weakness. That when you're taking a rest, have you ever found yourself going into your mind saying, I really should be doing something else? Yep. Or someone else walks in the room and you'd be like, I just sat down. You don't need to do that. I have done that so many times in my life, both internally and externally. And when I'm doing it, I'm always like, why am I doing that? There's no reason to be doing that. I have a right to just sit here and do nothing, or sit here and watch this show, or read a book, or whatever.
That's my biggest weakness, because not every person accepts that. Mm-hmm. When you sit there and go, I just need to sit down.
Well,
not everybody values that, so you start to feel a little bit of shame. That's my biggest weakness.
And that's what I'm saying is that I was wondering where I should put this in, because I think that's why it's important to go at the beginning, because normalizing that taking your mind rest to maintain your peace is not weakness. It's not laziness. Now, if you're doing it all the time and then you're not doing anything
Yeah.
else, that's different.
Right.
But I'm talking about people that do, they work, they have no other time. And then when they do take the time, they feel guilty, or they feel like I should be doing something, because then if I'm not, people are going to be upset. So then I'm shamed and guilted. If you're getting that feeling, this is for you. This means that you should be normalizing that rest time is good for your foundational base. You need to have that foundational base. And that means if you want to take a nap, people beat themselves up. I took a nap. And then you get people that take naps all the time and like, I have no problem with that. Find the balance there, but really being able to do that. Yeah. So this whole first section of establishing your mental health infrastructure is then about a mindset shift. So here's your reset, right? And that is that I maintain my mind the way I maintain my body and my finances. So because we were talking about, mind, body, finances last week.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, how do we shift and reset by using this as if we use the foundation as a good base, then it's I maintain my mind the way I will maintain my body and my finances. So if your body and your finances are a shit show, that means your foundation is probably a shit show.
Yep.
I'm just putting it bluntly, right? Because it is what it is.
Because guess what? Those are going to be your two biggest stressors.
Right.
First two on the list.
And that's why I put them. That's why I put them in the infrastructure. So the reset mindset is, I have to maintain my mind in order to contain and maintain my body and my finances.
Yep.
So, and if you can get them all aligned, at least in some way, it's healthy. So you're going to schedule the non-negotiable. You're going to conduct the daily, weekly, or monthly audit, whichever fits for you. You're going to normalize rest as part of your performance and optimization, not a weakness. And then it gives you the reset. So there's my first part.
This is essentially put your mask on first, because
Yes.
if you can't emphasize your finances and your body,
right,
then you're going to be stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people I can't give time to that. I just got to keep going. Just deal with it.
But if those things, if your body and your finances are a mess, it means your mind is not right.
Right.
Right. And that's just the way it is.
But people have to give attention to that to keep those in line, and they feel guilty about giving attention.
Exactly. But that's to the normalizing your rest. You have to have your brain rest to be able to get yourself right.
Yep.
So it's this loop, like I've talked about other loops before. It's a loop that can be broken so that you can reset it, so that it's like a standalone. So it's not just combined in a chaos loop, right?
And again, I need to sit down is perfectly fine.
Or I want to sit down.
I want to sit down.
Right? Because not always it's a need. Yeah. It's sometimes I just want to sit down, and you're allowed.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes you might not have the time to, because you have someplace to go, whatever, but you have the right to do that.
Or we can't swing that right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you have the right to do that, and you have to give yourself permission to do that without apologies.
Yeah.
Right.
So many people don't, though.
But that's why I put it in this infrastructure, because if you don't do that, it's very hard to kind of go into the next section of what I'm giving people as a program here.
What are two biggest stresses then? Your finances and your health, your body.
Right. Right.
Those are the biggest stresses.
Usually.
Yeah.
Usually, I mean, you can add other stuff in there,
Sure.
But it still falls in under usually those two same things, or the three: mental, mind, and body. I mean, mental, mind, body, and finances are usually the things that everything else falls under. Yeah. So those are that's why I broke it into that. So yes. Okay. The next thing. Ready? This is how I phrased it. Replace your outcome obsession with process mastery.
Beautiful.
Right?
Yep. So
replace your outcome obsession with process mastery. Right? And so what does that mean? So break it down. The growth mindset thrives when effort, learning, flexibility, adaptability matter more than immediate results. I'll say it again.
Yep.
So growth mindset, not closed mindset, not inflexible mindset, but growth mindset, the one we're doing with our rise for the month or for the year. Growth mindset thrives when effort, learning, adaptability, and flexibility matter more than the immediate results. Our outcomes will come if we do all the other things. Outcome is never, I tell all of my athletes, I have a couple runners that love that. I always say, the outcome will be if you do all these things. Don't worry about the outcome.
Outcome is the sum of your decisions to that point.
Your outcome is all about, have you put the effort in? Have you learned? Have you changed? Have you adapted? Have you been flexible? Have you done the process? Master your process.
Which gets us to acceptance.
It does.
Because you have to accept what is. You can't change what is. You can only change down the road with a series of decisions.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And so
people spend a lot of time fighting what is.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So to that point, so I'm going to jump ahead a little bit to the mindset shift. So I gave you the mindset shift in my last little rubric at the end. I'm going to start with the mindset shift here. Here's my mindset shift. And I took my own from something I said to myself last week. And then I caught myself because I practice what I preach, at least I try to. And I was saying to myself last week, oh, I'm behind. And it was like, whatever, the 10th of January. Yeah. But I was doing that thing because it's human nature. And even though I know the no's, yep. I know what to do.
Sure.
I talk about it daily, literally ad nauseum about all this stuff with every client, just about the end of the day. I am not behind. I am in process. Mm-hmm. As long as I'm staying my course and I'm doing the things, and my goal mindset was doing something for myself every day, making sure I'm taking care of me every day, making sure that something right or whatever it is. I am not behind. That's the mindset. I'm not behind. I'm in process.
Yep.
If today didn't go the way you wanted it, okay. Did you do something? Did you check off one of those infrastructure boxes? If you did, then you're in process.
Yep.
Instead of saying I'm behind.
And by the way, you can adjust the process too.
Right. I am not behind. I am in process. Yep. When I thought of that last week, I'm like, wait a second, I am not behind. I'm just in the process. But I'm in that mindset that we all get stuck in at times of, oh my God, I'm under some gun. I'm under some timeline.
Like, well, we feel everything is linear, and it's
right.
Not.
And that's a big thing, and that's what I've been saying since before the first. But we are not in a linear motion here. So okay, so let me go back to like the actions in this process of like how to really be in the growth thrive mindset. Okay, so define success by your behaviors you control. Right, consistency. Are you consistent? Are you learning? Are you doing your courageous leaps like I talked about last week, right? Mm-hmm. Courage builds confidence. You have the courage, take the leap. If you do consistency, if you're learning, if you're growing, if you're changing, you're having your courage to take the next leap in something, you're not focused on outcome. The outcome is going to be a process byproduct.
Yep.
So it will come naturally. So I've done the 3 C's with people before. Capture something in your mind or capture a behavior, challenge yourself, challenge it, and then the change comes. The change doesn't have to actually have anything happen because it automatically is there. That's the outcome. Mm-hmm. So if you define your success by the behaviors you're doing and that you can control, I can control being consistent. I can control being consistent, going to the gym, eating correctly, putting $10 away. Like here's examples. I can learn something new about the world, myself, whatever, every single day of doing something different. Like I'm teaching people today something different, I hope, right? And then just taking that courage that everybody has. Everybody has courage. It's whether you activate it, behaviorally activate it. Your outcomes that you want will come if you do that. Right. Take the leap, the confidence comes, then you'll take the next leap, right?
Or the next baby step.
And the leaps are baby steps.
Yeah.
let me reiterate that they are not first stair to 10th stair in one jump. Right. They're baby steps. They're half steps. They're full steps, whatever, but they're not 10 steps at a time.
Yep. Yeah, that's an important point. Stack your wins.
Yeah.
That's where confidence and courage comes from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the whole show from last week. If people want to go back and listen to that, it was about that. Okay. Now, in this, being realistic about like process mastery is reframing setbacks. We talked about it like failures last week. I said, talking about the way you have to have an opportunity of failure, but let's talk about it in terms of setbacks. We have setbacks in our process. So reframing,
it's not linear.
Reframe our setbacks as data points.
Yep.
So be really transactional about this so that you're not emotionally caught up in it, so that you're not obsessed with the outcome, right? You're in the process. So reframe the setback as data point. And what is this setback teaching me, right? Instead of what does this say about me? Why am I such a failure? Stop with that kind of talk and that narrative. Go right to what is this setback teaching me? It's usually, and I can answer most of the time, setbacks, obstacles are teaching you that you haven't done the process in a way that it needs to happen to get you to where you need to go in that moment, or that you need to retrack yourself. You need to change something about something. It's not failure and give up, or I called it last week, the fuck it's. It's about taking the setback and saying, what is this teaching me so that I can change it to make it move in a different trajectory, right?
That's
so it's always about that forward movement. And somebody last week that heard my show was like, I just can't be Pollyanna. And I'm like, this is not Pollyanna.
No, it's the opposite.
This is about taking something and looking at it for logistically what it really is. I have a setback versus I am a failure. I have a setback is a different word meaning than I am a failure.
Yep.
So if we really look at how to rise, then we're looking at what do I need to learn in situations? What did I learn today from having this kind of interaction, or this kind of, is it helping my process?
Yep.
That's your audit for the day, right? And how many of those are we having? So are we stacking negativity? Or are we stacking productivity? And I specifically use that word on purpose because that's behavior.
Everyone has this mindset that they're going to go forward with this particular project or on this particular path, and they're never going to make a mistake. And it doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
If you're not experienced, you're going to have setbacks. You're going to learn lessons. You're going to get better. You're going to get.
Exactly.
That's how you learn. That's how this happens.
And if you track your lessons, so to speak, if you track your lessons like on a weekly or monthly basis, instead of looking at, and I'm going to use the word wins, but not in the stackable wins, instead of outcome win, like I won the race, I got the big job, I wrote the book, I got a promotion. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. It's about tracking the lessons of the day. What did I win today in my life? What did I gain out of my daily practice of all the things I'm saying?
Every time my kids had a setback, the first question was, what did you learn?
Right. And that's what
did you learn anything?
Right. And what can you learn out of this?
Yeah.
When people relapse in my addiction work that I do, I will, because they get down on themselves, I always say, what did we learn?
Yeah.
What I always ask that, what did we learn? And it's not a condescending question. Like a lot of people get very defensive and be like, oh, no, what did we learn?
Yeah.
This relapse out of 10, this one's different. Every single one of them are different. When we fall down, we get back up. When we get back up, we have to change something, or else we're going to fall down again in the exact same way. So we have to ask, what did we learn?
What's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over, thinking it's going to get changed.
Yeah, exactly. So you failed. You failed, and I hate the word failed.
Yeah, I know.
You had a setback, or it's nonlinear.
Yeah.
What did you learn? What are you going to do differently?
What are you going to do different? Right.
That's the focus, not I failed.
Mm-hmm.
The focus is, what did I learn?
And that's such an important thing when you look at like life in general. Like, I'll go back to the addiction example. When you have someone who's like fighting, like say a food addiction, let's make it more like palatable for palatable for so many people that are struggling with food addiction. You're an overeater or you're an undereater. You're either way, right? What are you learning from when you starve yourself? What are you learning when you take and just give way to the day of like just willy-nilly eating, right? What are you learning from every time you relapse in those moments? What are you learning?
What's the lesson everybody learns in that regard? Don't have it in the house.
Well, there's one lesson.
That's lesson number one.
And so it's kind of like, don't go through, this is like for someone who's an alcoholic, stop going to that packy. Stop driving by the place that you always buy. If you have to move eventually, we have to move. Stop going to the grocery store every single day. Stop driving through the McDonald's drive-through. Like, there's so many different things that we can learn. And instead of it being, what I get a lot is, I can't make any changes. It's just against me. The world is against me and I just can't. I can't. I can't means I won't try. You know me, and I can't. I cannot is not vocabulary in my vocabulary. It's, I'm either I do or I don't. There's
Victim
no
mentality.
try, there's only do.
Victim mentality.
Yes,
It's out of my control.
Right. Like,
So
you're
why get
doing
up?
this to me.
Yeah.
No, you made choices and you're doing it to yourself. And make the learning here is, what choice are you going to make different? So when someone will say to me, I didn't learn anything. Well, you did. What choices could you make differently? And so it's just a way of asking. So you're teaching yourself how to process and process and process, not just be outcome. I have to be wealthy. I have to be skinny. I have to be in this certain job. I have to be whatever. Like, I have to be. Okay, well, you want to be. But there's a way to get there. You have to get there. You can't just, it doesn't happen. People are like, oh, people are in Hollywood are so fortunate. I mean, 90% of them have had to like work their tail off. And I say that night because they do. It's a process. People are not stars overnight. People don't make millions of dollars overnight. People are not handed money left and right. That's a small percentage of the world.
That's irrelevant to your outcomes.
Right. But people do that social comparison, which is irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's, what are you doing to take control of your reins, your steering wheel? Stop externalizing. Stop blaming everyone else for your woe is me. Take on your process. Master it.
Sometimes all you come up with for the lesson is, I don't want that outcome again.
Right.
Okay, fine. How do we avoid it?
Right. Well,
Well, how do we not get there?
Well, and a lot of people
led to that?
And a lot of people will do the whole like, well, they'll become inactive, and that's a big downfall of that side of things, is that people become inactivated or deactivated, and then they will get stuck because then they don't know. And this happens a lot in addiction, is that they don't know how to, because they run out of options in their mind, because they're not in generators of process. They're stuck in the loop of, I only know how to think this way, how to feel this way, and behave this way, and therefore it just keeps perpetuating itself, versus I have to change my thinking so that my feeling changes, so that my behavior will change.
Mm-hmm.
If I change this behavior, my thinking will change, my feeling will get better. Like, right? So any part in there to intercede, and that's the process. But people have a hard time with that.
That's such an important point, because people go first to changing their behavior without the mindset basis behind it.
Right.
And that doesn't work.
Right. Exactly.
It's not solid.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's
not sustainable.
Well, it's not sustainable, and it lends itself to becoming like an excuse maker for ourselves, right? We come up with justifications, minimizations, maximizations, all the things that let us give us freedom to get away with not just doing, because it's easier to go and become an Eeyore.
Yeah.
Why bother going out when you just have to come back, right? Well, because you actually have to go out. You have to go do things. You have to be in the process, right? Take control of your life. Stop making it about everyone else having control. So
start with your body, your finances. These are the first places. This is where you learn these skills.
Right. Infrastructure is your mental health.
Open an account, put $5 in it for savings. That's all you need to do. Be consistent,
right? I mean, on each thing, make your checklist. So, okay, next part, right? So strengthening your emotional regulation skills. Right? How do we rise? We have to strengthen our emotional regulation skills. I see so many people, not necessarily in my practice, because we all work on this, because this is part of my practice, right? But just out in the world, like walking around like emotionally dysregulated.
Yep. Like,
it's all over the place. Like social media, news, on the road, in the grocery store, at the post office, in the crosswalk. I'm giving examples that come to mind, right? Like, so strengthening our emotional regulation skills, and the mindset shift in this. So I'm going to go back to doing that first, is my emotions provide information. They do not dictate my actions. That's the mindset shift. My emotions provide me information. They do not dictate my actions.
The observer position.
The primary thing that I see
Yep.
is my emotions provide me information. I don't pay attention to it, and they dictate my emotions, and then I'm completely out of control, and then everyone around me suffers.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That's like the kind of norm. So when I was thinking about putting this plan together for people, I was like, wait a second, how do I strengthen my emotional regulation skills? Okay, my emotions only provide me information. I have to be responsive, not reactive. When I'm reactive, which happens, especially when we have hard things going on, in our lives, at our jobs, at our homes, our kids, whatever, it's very difficult. It's not easy. And I can say personally too, it's not always easy to keep emotions in check, especially when you're pushed.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Said with a smile, Lou. Said with a smile, right? Okay. So your mental health infrastructure provides you that when emotions are managed skillfully rather than suppressed or indulged, you will have strength in your emotional fortitude. I had a lot to write about this when I was writing this through last week. This is also, by the way, me doing a little bit of writing towards my book.
Oh, nice.
Which is why it's very structured like this.
Yep.
So everyone's benefiting from a little highlight of like maybe a book coming in the future. But the level of people's ability to strengthen their emotional regulation is based on their infrastructure. If they don't have good mental acuity and awareness, and they really don't pay attention to it, and you either suppress everything or most things and you're stuffing it down, like we know men do that much more than women, and or we indulge it by either becoming over the top, expressive too much, we get angry too fast, we become violent verbally or whatever, or we overeating, that's indulging, or over drinking, or over drugging, or drugging.
Yeah.
Right. If we manage our emotional infrastructure better and skillfully, we are much more able to get into that. My information is my information, and I don't have to act on it just because this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So how do we do that? Okay. This is such a hard skill for people. Practice, and I ask you all, practice naming your emotion. One, people don't like doing that because it's scary. And two, people often don't have all the vocabulary words to do it. I get happy, sad, angry. And that's when I bring out my emotion emoji, like we're in fourth grade.
Yeah. And
people always are laughing like, really? I'm like, yes, because we have so many emotions. I just felt like Linda when I did that. You still haven't seen Wicked.
No, I haven't.
Anyway, so we have so many emotions, but practice naming the emotions more precisely. I will work on that, like with my clients. When someone says, I say, how is it that you did such and such a thing, and what did it feel like? They'll be like, fine. I'm like, no. And then they won't get there, and so finally I'll start naming. I'll be like, well, was it disappointing? And I can feel, and I can usually tell how it feels. So I'll just, instead of saying, how does it make you feel? Which is the worst question ever in therapy, because I hate it. And they do, like all my patients are like, every patient hates that question. Cause like, if you don't know and you can't pick it up, lady, what are you doing? So I will say, it sounds like it was disappointing. It sounds like it was sad. It sounds like it was shameful. It sounds like you felt grief. It sounds like loss. And if you're an empath and an intuit like I am, you pick it up and you're right on, but you're teaching other words and being able to use emotional words that are not just in that block of happy, sad, fine, good, the socially norm, like acceptable things. You are expanding your emotional infrastructure, which is important because it makes your body, your mind, and your physicality healthier.
This is the very definition of processing.
Right.
It's putting emotions into words.
Right. And I've had people actually say to me, but this is so much work. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh, because you're blocking it.
Right. It's
They're
work.
there.
Right. And you don't want to deal with it because it's hard. Right. It's because that's why your emotions,
or you're ashamed of how it made you feel, or you're
you don't want
guilty
to
about how it made you feel.
well, yeah, or the actions you took about it. Because if you remember, the mindset shift is that your emotions provide you information, they do not dictate actions. Usually people get into that space of like not wanting to deal with strengthening their emotional regulation because they've already taken action, which means they've already emotionally dysregulated and lost it. They've done something to act out on their information, and then they feel ashamed. Then they go back in and put everything back in and hold it and suppress it until they do it again.
Sometimes they misreact.
Oh, yes.
They feel hurt and they
Right.
react with anger.
Right, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Well, because that's the other emotion, right?
Yeah.
So if we can consistently practice naming emotions, it's like, okay, I'm angry, I'm disappointed. Well, why? Because I'm hurt. Well, why? Because I got abandoned. Well, okay, so right, because those are all the feelings that come up. So being able to strengthen your emotional regulation by naming it. This one's big. Build in a pause habit. Taking a pause, right? So responding after you re-regulate, which could take 5 seconds, it could take a whole minute. People think it's forever. Yeah. Like if you just wait 10 seconds before you speak, sometimes that would save you a week of fighting, a week of a day of some horrific feeling. It, like, build in a pause habit. Now, personally, again, doesn't always work. I can say, like, sometimes pauses are hard because sometimes things are just said or things are like, ruffled up. But try to really build in a pause habit to say, okay, I need to respond, not react.
Yep.
And not when you are activated and your body is activated and you're trying to strengthen your emotional regulation skills, you're going to be able to tamp down your reactionary jump,
which is different than suppressing.
Which is totally different than suppressing because you're not ignoring it.
Right.
The process is to be able to regulate, and it's you have a vagal nerve. The vagal nerve is in your neck space, essentially. I could go into a whole schooling on this, and you're going to regulate that so that it sends the right signals between your brain and your stomach, and you're essentially up and down your central nervous system, spinal cord, and so on, and your sympathetic and your parasympathetic transmitters. What it does is it regulates you when you take that moment and pause so that you're not responding and reacting in the activated moment. It could be 10 seconds after you've been activated. It could be a minute. It could be 3 days. I had a thing happen this week. I won't say what the thing is because then it would out what it is. But I got really activated and I was in the process of building this plan for people. And I had just done like this section and I was like, oh my God, this is such great timing for me because I immediately was so physically activated by the thing that I saw something that was written. And it was a very passive aggressive thing written. And it was so activating to me. And I sat with it. Then I vented about it to people that were neutral and deactivated myself. And then that in and of itself wasn't enough. So then I was like, I'm going to take some time. And that was over like maybe a 10-minute period of time. And then in my head, I was like, I'm going to let this sit. And then I just put it aside and I was like, I did all the cognitive behavioral things of what's rational, reasonable, realistic. What's the pro and con of this? What's the outcome of this? Like regulate in, like, why are you getting dysregulated? 6 months ago, this wouldn't have mattered because this person wasn't even around you. Now this person is. And so why are you regulating out like this? Because it doesn't matter. Right. And that was a few days ago. And now I'm like totally past it and didn't need to respond. Didn't need to first of all, didn't need to react. But because I emotionally regulated in that first 10 or 15 minutes, and then it took me a couple hours, but essentially, but regulated right in that moment to not like jump on something. A couple days later, I'm like, it's like, oh, okay, I'm on to the next thing. And how good does that feel? It feels so much better because it didn't take away any of my time, really. because I was able to be like, and then the next day after I slept on it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm so glad I didn't respond to that.
People have to separate. You can call it what you want. It's your consciousness. It's your intellect.
Mhm.
It's who you are
Mhm.
from your emotions, from your brains, from. As I always say, your brain is like walking your dog. The dog's going to bark at something. Are you going to
Right.
jump and start barking at him, or are you
Right.
going to reason it out?
Right. Exactly.
Right.
And that's such a perfect example of what most people go through. And my example was, could I bark at this, or do I just keep walking?
Yep.
I kept walking, and I saved myself and my soul so much effort because I didn't just go barking.
And the nature of your brain and your physicality is to bring threat. It's threat
Right.
generating.
Right.
So you have to
Well,
rise. You have to stay above
socialized.
it. You have
Right.
to.
We're socialized
Yep.
into jump into the threat generation and get baited. We get rage baited all the time.
Well, that's what the brain does. It keeps you
Yeah.
alive. It generates threats.
Right. So, but if you pause and you build a habit around pausing, then and you respond versus react, you're going to be deactivated and your body's going to go into calm, and it's going to be so much better. So in that mode, using your physical regulation tools, this is the other piece of it, like exercise, movement, breath work, being grounded, cold exposure. Like I even walked outside. It was really cold that day. I walked outside and took a couple of like really good deep breaths and got like my body, like, because I was thinking, bring your body down, because I was really upset.
That seems a bit much.
But
and it's cold. No,
I know,
kidding.
but sometimes, it's just like putting ice cubes in your hand. Like we use grounding techniques, put ice cubes in your hand, whatever needs to, because there's certain times that you just need. And why does that work? Because it regulates the body into distracting itself from the other thing to bring essentially the temperature down. So
gets you out of fight and flight.
It gets you out of fight and flight.
Yeah.
You got to know the techniques to be able to do it, which is part of the, reason why it de-escalated so quickly. A lot of people will sit in the fight and flight forever and ever and ever, and the cortisol dump is there.
Because that's the brain's job.
Right.
Put you in fight or flight.
Right, exactly. Because it's wanting to protect you from yourself and others, right? But if you use your physical regulation tools of just breathing, like good deep breaths that are correct, which is different than a lot of times when people come to me and say, my last therapist taught me how to breathe. And then I was like, okay. And then I'm like, okay, show me. And they don't show me anything. They were breathing, but they were breathing for 10 seconds. I'm like, okay, that's not breathing. But if we do really good breath work, which is a whole nother show, and we do movement, even if we do stretching, if we do like stand up and just like reach our arms up into the, like just basic things to just get ourselves relieved. In acting school, like I talked about, we have a couple techniques where we would do the shakeout. Shaking out your body and just like shaking out each part of your body a little bit at a time. All it does is deactivate all the systems that are going on that are making you activated, and it regulates your body in to be calm. It's amazing.
I like these stress release, just going down your body in form and just relaxing.
Right. That's the
different parts of your body.
Progressive muscle relaxation. If you have the time to do it in those moments, right? But if you need a quick fix, it's like, you have to do jump up and down, you have to jump around and whatever.
Often you can just do your shoulders. Just keep relaxing your shoulders.
Right. Exactly.
And again, get you out of fight and flight, and so you can deal with it.
That's the grounding. That's like the grounding techniques, right? So doing that. So when you do that, you stabilize your body before you actually do a problem solve. So in this, when you strengthen your emotional regulation, so you practice, naming your emotion, build your pause habit in, and then use your physical regulation tools, you're stabilizing yourself before you have to find a solution to something. And then sometimes the solution is that you won't have to, because you've recalibrated your infrastructure and find out that everything internal is controllable for you, and you don't have to worry about the external, right? Yep. And it pulls things together to give you that rise moment to keep yourself on your process, on your track, to get you to your outcomes. And that's a huge reset tool for people. Okay. You ready for the next one?
Yep.
Okay. These are like my book chapters, I think, that I'm calling them, but everyone's getting a little preview.
This is good. This is an important episode.
Okay. Well, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Curate your inputs ruthlessly. You like it?
Yeah.
Be a curator of what is inputted into you, like ruthlessly.
Yep.
Right? And what does that mean? Take your mindset shift and say, I protect my attention because it shapes who I am. I protect my attention because it shapes who I am. So that means you're going to curate what you're allowing in, like, ruthlessly. And I use that word on purpose.
Mhm.
Like, I thesaurused a whole bunch of words to feel the right word. And I'm like, be ruthless about what you allow in, like, and what you don't.
Yep.
It's so important. So how do you take the actions? Reduce exposure to content, people, and places that reinforce fear, comparison, helplessness, anxiety, worry, stress, right? Reduce your exposure to those things.
Yep.
Like, just curate. That's what curate means, right? Take control. You're in charge. You're in charge of your inputs. So really reduce your exposure to the things that you can, right? Replace passive, I love this. Replace passive scrolling with intentional learning. Right. So we passively scroll. I got, when you're stressed out, I notice, like, I do it and other people do it. And I'm trying to practice this, is that I'll just, like, mindlessly scroll just to, like, and am I learning anything? I'm learning things about other people. I'm learning things about, like, trends. Right. But I'm saying, really replace that passive, like, time that you're doing. So you can still do it and it passes some time. So you're having fun, like my cat TikToks and all my, fun things and my wicked things. Right. But really replace your passive wasting time with intentional learning. Read something, listen to the podcast, skill build, like, do something that is that you're curating, that your inputs from social media, from what you're hearing on the news, what you're, like, be ruthless about it, what's coming into your input. Like, I've just not been watching the news in the past few days because I'm hearing it so much from people at work, because people come in and they're upset about things or whatever. I don't need to watch the news because I'm getting it. So I'm being good at curating my inputs when I'm not at work by just being like, I'm just not going to participate in that because I already know the information. So I'm just going to stay away from it until I need to know something. Just for temporary right now, because I'm doing, I'm being in charge of what kind of things I'm allowing into my mental space, because it charges you up. When you have an input that's charging you up, you're likely to displace it over onto other things. So being mindful of that.
Can I add an advanced technique of that?
Yes.
Is something that you scroll that would trigger you.
Yes.
Learn to let it go.
Right.
Let it pass.
Well, right. And that's to my point of, like, my last piece is, like, when I got that information, I was scrolling and I happened upon something and I was like, right. And it was something that was, like, really passive aggressive. And I was like, oh, I could choose to jump in on this, but I chose not to. Right. Same thing.
Daily thing for me.
Right. Right. And then the other piece of how to, like, make sure you're, like, taking care of your inputs in a ruthlessly personal way, selective way, is that audit your inner dialogue, audit your inner narrative actively, and replace it with, replace those fixed statements, like the I can'ts. It's such an easy one for me to talk about, right? I can't with I'm learning how to. I'm having a hard time, but it will come. Take those really closed mindset, non-rise based statements that you have going on of, it's always against me, nobody loves me, whatever it is, right? And really create something that is a different language. And people find it hard to do that. So I use the I can't because it's easier to use. I can't is not there. I can't means you won't try. So let's take that off, because most people will say, well, that's not what I mean. I mean, of course I'll try. Right. I will do it. I'm struggling with it right now. It is hard, but it will come. Like, it's changing that inner dialogue. And
one of my favorite memes ever was, I haven't figured it out yet, and that's okay.
Right. Well, and you don't know that you haven't figured it out yet unless you're auditing your inner dialogue to know that you're doing it.
Yep.
So you have to really do a good job of shifting your mindset into it. And if you don't know what your inner dialogue, sometimes I'll be like, what are you thinking to people? And the most common answer is nothing. I'm like, no, that is not true. That is not true. That is not true. That is not true. You're always thinking. We are never not thinking.
Right.
Our brains don't go blank and go silent. But what are you thinking when that happens? What are you thinking when that person says that? What are you thinking when that, not what are you feeling? We'll get to the feeling. We know the feeling. We can tell you're sad, you're hurt, you're disappointed, you feel abandoned, you're ashamed, all those things. We know. But what is the thought? I'm not good enough. Will I ever be worthwhile? Will I ever feel right? Will this ever be in my favor? Right? Let's look at what you're thinking. And now let's look at how do we make a growth-based statement on those things? Right? I have no facts to prove that I'm a failure. There are no facts. People will come up with speculation and assumption, but they will never have facts. Well, because I love this one. Because my mother told me. That's not a fact. That was her opinion and she was being mean.
Yep.
That's not a fact. Just because she said you're a failure doesn't mean you are. Right? So that to that point, right?
Wow.
Okay. So I have like 4 or 5 other pieces I'm working on that I have put together for the rest of this. And I won't have time to get to them today.
Episode 2.
But it will be episode 2 next week when I'm here on the 28th, the day after I turn 27 again. On the 27th. So I will be here next week to finish up this second piece of this part of my helping you rise for the year, but helping you really rise and getting your forward movement really going and getting started, because we're going to talk about how to really build other habits and practice self-compassion without lowering your standards. We're going to so there's other pieces coming that are building out our way to rise. So remember, rising is reset, mindset, growth set, right? Reset, integrate it, stand up or stand out in some way, and elevate or evolve yourself in some way. And these are all the concepts that I'm trying to help you build out to get there this year. And
watch this
in January.
Watch this episode a second time.
And watch this
This
or
is
3 times
episode.
And push it out there and share it. And everybody come out and help me get to the last 13 squares. Help me rise. All right, you guys have a great week, and I will see you next week.